Students, sir, the recording has started.
Okay, Vijay sir. The voice is clear?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Professor Sunil Kuntawar, the faculty and the co-coordinator of this 2-week faculty development program, welcomes heartily to all the participants. So, it gives me an immense pleasure to introduce our today's guest speaker, Mr. Abhijeet Dehadrai. Mr. Abhijeet Dehadrai has more than 12 years of experience as a behavioral trainer, corporate trainer, and recruitment trainer. He is a founder and CEO of Spirit, a training firm that engages in training corporate employees and students for recruitments. He has trained the employees of reputed organizations like Tata Aeronautics Limited, Merzido Singapore, a two data technology, SCG Cancer Center, Asian Kidney Transplant Hospital, and so on. He has also conducted the trainings for esteemed colleges as a freelancer trainer like Symbiosis International University, Pune. Mr. Abhijit has till date trained the thousands of students to get placed in a reputed companies like TCS, Cognizant, Persistence, Capgemini, Global Logic, Mahindra and Mahindra, etc. Also, he conducts a training that are essential for the students to get a place or to get a job in a various companies. For his firm conducts spoken English and soft skills training. Also, the quantitative aptitude training, technical trainings, and trainings for resume writing, group discussion, and clearing a personal interviews. So, right now, we welcome you, Abhijit sir, and I request you to please start the session. Abhijit sir, over to
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, most welcome, sir.
Okay, so many, thanks to many thanks to all of you for this opportunity that you have provided me, the organizing committee members of this faculty development program, and also to the director, honorable director of Bellarpur Institute of Technology, Dr. Rajnikant Mishra sir, and also to the management of Ballarpur Institute of Technology. I am really thankful for this opportunity that you have presented, and I would like to share in today's session. Let me start by presenting the screen. Actually, there are so many members who are continuously being admitted. That is the reason. Okay, I hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Abhijit sir, very audible. No issues.
Thank you, sir. And now I would like to present the screen. Just a moment. If somebody will please confirm whether you can see the screen or not.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So today's session, whatever I have designed, like I usually do, um, today's session is on the learning vertical. So whatever I have designed is on the basis of my experience, on the basis of whatever I have read, read in the various books. I have tried to practice those things, and on that basis, whatever has come to my notice, there are a few observations of my own also, which I would like to share, and then. Of course, in case if all of you will participate, like I always encourage and I always request that all of you, if you will also equally participate, share your opinions, then that will be really great. You have been very interactive in my previous sessions. I am very thankful to all of you for participating so interact, for participating in the sessions and for being so interactive. In today's session also, I will request all of you to be very interactive. As a matter of fact, you see, today's session is not something which is mathematics. Like earlier, we had a session called the maths of learning. So in that we had some typical principles and all which we had designed. But in today's session, it is not about, there is no boundary into which we can Just today's session is very much based on the perspective. It is very much based on the opinions that we have as our professors and things like that. So being a behavioral trainer, I have included many things which will talk about human behavior and things like that, and as to how we can encash it to our benefit and to the benefit of our students as well. And like I said, because it is very much opinion based, therefore there is no right or wrong in today's session, and therefore I will request all of you to participate, and not by participate I don't just mean participate by being interactive in the session. Please do share your opinions as well. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's begin. And this is what I started doing as a trainer. I started with behavioral training, then I started with English language training and personality development training for students, then quantitative aptitude and core aptitude training, and in recruitment essentials. By recruitment essentials, I mean resume writing, group discussion, and personal interview. However, before I entered into this realm, I actually used to train the corporates. First, I used to work for Wipro, and when I was working for Wipro, I got this opportunity to train the people in Wipro, and then slowly I came back to my hometown. I was in Pune, then I came back to my hometown because of some personal reasons, and I got this opportunity. And then I started working as a corporate trainer. While working as a corporate trainer, all of a sudden I realized that there is a huge gap and there is a lot of scope of earning money. I will be true. There is a lot of scope to earn money, and along with that, there is a lot of scope to train the students as well. As a matter of fact, it was very easy to train the students in comparison to the employees of the companies. So I decided, let us start moving, to training the students. And then slowly I understood as to why the gap exists and why all of these things are. So I would like to discuss the need for this session, the learning vertical. What learning vertical is, that eventually we will discuss in the coming slides. However, first let us discuss the need of this session, why this session is needed. Now you see, when we always talk about these gaps that industries have mentioned, this is the report of Economic Times Bureau, which was updated on October 18, 2016. According to this report, you see 48%, this is in India, difficulty in job vacancies in India due to talent shortage. So 48% vacancies in India remain. Why? Because the companies, they find it difficult to to fill in the job vacancy. Why? Because there is no appropriate talent that is available. By talent, we mean that appropriate skill set that is available. Now, difficulty in filling job vacancies globally because of the same reason, that is talent shortage, it is 40%. Okay, so because of talent shortage, this is in India, the difficulty in filling job vacancies is 48%. At global level also it is 40%. So the scenario is almost similar everywhere. Now next is the top reasons for talent shortage. When they try to come up with the top reasons for talent shortage, 36% of this shortage exists because of the shortage. Like 36% of the shortage is in soft skills. Now what do we mean by soft skills and all, that can be discussed later. The top reason for talent shortage is higher pay. One of the other top reason for talent shortage is higher pay expectation. So 36% of it is because of soft skills and 34% of it is because of higher pay expectation. Now there is this another report which was published in the year 2017 by NASSCOM, and according to that, the organizations acknowledged huge gap of STEM skills, and it is widening. Now, what is STEM skills? STEM skills is this engineering skill set, right? Science, technology, engineering, and this thing. So, mathematics, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics skills, and it is widening. So, the organizations have themselves also acknowledged, like 55% organizations have acknowledged. IT leaders, by IT leaders, we mean companies like Microsoft and Infosys and IBM and Wipro and TCS. These companies, they have accepted that their leaders lack in the IoT skills. IoT is Internet of Things, of course. Their, their firms, they lack in these skills, so they are looking forward to such candidates. Now, employers reported difficulty in finding skilled talent. So this is 40% of employers. They have reported difficulty in finding skilled talent. And then people gap between software jobs and qualified applicants was 1.4 million. This is in USA. Huh? This is not in India. The last one I forgot to mention the name. People gap between software jobs and qualified applicants in USA is 1.4 million. This is in the year 2017. Okay. So, just a minute. So this defines the need as to why we are time and again we are talking about the gap that is widening. Time and again we are coming up with such faculty development programs wherein we are inviting people from industry, wherein we are inviting people from the education sector, and then we want all of them to sit together and then come up with some plans so that such gap can be, such gap to a certain extent can be reduced, or rather than saying reduced, a bridge, the such gap can be bridged. So, as a behavioral trainer, I have come up with an aspect that needs to be discussed, that becomes essential to be discussed to ensure that such gap is bridged. And for that, before I move ahead with the session, I would like to discuss the objectives. Like, what are all the objectives that we wish to fulfill out of this session? Also, these are the objectives that I would like to discuss, is what I will say, as to how to complete these objectives. And these are the actual objectives which we really need to ensure that this gap is bridged. So one thing that is needed essentially is behavioral modification, right? Okay, and behavioral modification I have genuinely kept separate, and the rest of the things all together, I have included all of them together. So behavioral modification is one very important thing that needs these days. And what has happened is, this is one of the reasons as to why the job of professors, or rather than using the word job, I would say the duty of professors and the duty of teachers has become very challenging. Because in earlier days, molding the students was not such a big problem, or should I say that they came up with a very basic behavior which was necessary, and which could have been easy, which was easy for the, yes.
Why?
Hello.
Abhi- it was your clear video past.
Sir, I think there is some problem. You are not audible. I'm sorry. Hello. Hello. I'm sorry, you were not audible, sir, in case if there was some question or difficulty or query. So I was talking about the behavioral modification, which is really necessary to ensure that, uh, that is what has made our job even more challenging these days, or our duty even more challenging these days. So what do we mean by behavioral modification? What are the other things which are required? So one thing is behavioral modification, another is of course skill development. Now, fundamentally the job of a professor is to ensure that the candidate who enters into his organization is skilled over a period of say 3 years or 4 years, whatever, in whichever degree we are dealing, and accordingly he's skilled. But these days it is not limited to skill development. Behavioral modification is equally essential. Now, if you see the explanation that I have included in behavioral modification, it says that behavioral modification is to achieve defined behavioral modification through exposure, planned and effective interventions to ensure healthy and progressive behavior. So all in all, we're talking about behaviors which are actually necessary to ensure that the guy fits well in the society, so that he is readily acceptable in the society, and also automatically is more readily acceptable in the industry as well. As developing skills, we mean that skills that are essential to secure employment in MNCs, and by progress we mean that the candidate becomes self-dependent to create a more secure future while contributing to national growth. So let us understand as to how can we fulfill these objectives. However, before I move on, whatever little I have included in this session, I would like to thank people for it. So these are my special thanks which I am extending to all the people because of whom I was able to excuse me, I was able to include many things in this chapter. And the first is Honorable Shri Shankaracharya. When I was traveling to Kurapur, I had this opportunity to interact with him, and I would let you know as to what is it that he discussed. Then there was one more. I had this opportunity to discuss because one of my friends, he practices vipassana. So that is the reason I had an opportunity to interact with Buddhist monks and to discuss the vipassana methods. And they were discussing a lot about nature, and the concept of vipassana is that nature is supreme. Okay, I'm not going with any of the concepts. I would just like to throw some light on as to how discussing with them helped me come up with a very typical concept which has been previously discussed in ancient Indian scriptures as well. Now, father of Seminary Hills Church. Seminary Hills is a place in Nagpur where there is this church wherein once in a while we go when our friends and all they invite us for Christmas and things like that. So maybe once in a while, once in a year rather than saying once in a while, once in a year we usually visit that place when our friends invite us. Even there, I had this opportunity when there was one father there and he was pointing out the importance of nature and things like that. So which developed a very natural curiosity in me to learn from all these things. And then Professor Dan Ariely, he is a very famous author and my favorite author. I always say that he is a practicing psychologist and he is a professor in, I suppose, in Duke University, I suppose, and he is also a visiting professor in Harvard University. And Miss Florence Littauer, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she has written a very famous book on Personality Plus, part of which I have included in this presentation. And then finally, I would like to extend many thanks to Mr. Graham Shaw. His video I have included, his YouTube video I have included here. Like he has explained something different in his video, but I would like to share a part of it over here. So let us move ahead with our session. And I was discussing as to I had this opportunity to meet Honorable Shri Shankaracharya when I was on my visit to Kurapur. Kurapur is a place near, I think it is in Telangana, on the border of Telangana and Karnataka. There is this village named Kurapur, and that is the place where there is Samadhi of Sri Sripad Sri Vallabh Swami Maharaj. I had this opportunity to visit there, and while we were visiting, I had an opportunity to interact with Honorable Shri Shankaracharya. Now, while we were interacting, all of a sudden, because I come from the education industry, so he mentioned the learning vertical, which has been discussed in ancient Indian scriptures, and that is from where I started learning. That is from where I started thinking about it and discussing about it, and whatever knowledge I have gained about it, I would like to share in today's session and how it is relevant to bridge the gap. So I hope all of you will please stay tuned with me and let us try to understand as to what the learning vertical is. So you see, this is the learning vertical that was explained to me. It is really interesting. Now, if you will see, generally the most important place where almost everybody focuses in the learning vertical at the bottom, if you will see, it says books, right? Books is something which our Western education system focuses a lot on, and of course the importance of books is not undermined. The importance of books, there is a lot of importance which has been given to the books in all in all the methods, because at the end of the day, if we have to learn anything and everything, if we have to store our knowledge or information in any form, it has to happen in books, right? Now, what comes after books, or should I say, what is it that influences our students more in comparison to books, is culture. So you will see immediately above books, we will see culture, and the circle of culture or the diameter of culture is a little wider. Why? Because culture has the ability to influence our students more in comparison to books. I hope almost everybody sitting over here will agree to that. There is no, there is no conflict in our understanding here, because we have seen that there are so many good things that are written in the books, but at the end of the day, what is it that students are influenced, or what is it that influences the behavior of the students or their thought process also, is their culture, right? Now, nature has the ability to influence a person even more in comparison to culture. Okay, is what the learning vertical says, and we will discuss that slowly as to what nature actually means and what experience is about. So by experience we mean like how do we experience things. Experience is generally these days, when we talk about experience, we say that experience is number of we count experience in number of years. However, when we talk about experience over here, we are not essentially talking about the number of years that we have spent in the industry. We are talking about the actual experience that we were able to grasp, or that we were able to absorb from whatever culture, and from whatever culture or whatever scenario we went through, circumstances we went through. Okay. Now, when we talk about realization here, very interestingly, I must say that realization here does not mean self-actualization or self-realization. Realization here means realization of petty things, small things. Like, for example, if I get angry, So how do I respond when I get angry? What happens to me when I am angry, right? So if I realize that what essentially happens to me after I am angry, then automatically what will happen is I will try and not to be angry the next time, because I will understand that when I am angry, I do things that I usually would not do, or when I get angry, I hurt my own self sometimes. So that is something that I'm not, I'm not supposed to practice. Okay, I wish to remove the headphone here. If somebody will please confirm whether I'm audible or not. So, if somebody will please confirm if I'm audible or not.
You are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You're audible, sir.
yes, thank you so much, sir. So this is the learning vertical that we have discussed just now. However, each step of this vertical has a lot of depth. Since I heard this, I conducted myself. I conducted a lot of research in these topics. I made a lot of effort to understand this in depth, and then slowly I made an effort, and whatever it is that I have understood is what I will share with you over here now. Okay, so let us begin with the very first thing, that is experience, because experience is something that almost everybody, all of us will talk about it. Experience is something, just now in my introduction, Sunil sir read that I have around 12 years of experience in behavioral training. But what does experience really mean? And I would like to understand this from you. Let's discuss experience in your words. If you were to put as to what experience really means, and what are the challenges in in actually what are the challenges in actually being an experienced person? If you will please discuss this. I have I would once in a while I would return back to the other window so that I can read your comments in the chat box as well. But something that you would like to share, please go ahead. Your opinion on what experience really means and things like that, please.
Experience means the lessons that we have learned.
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Prithviraj sir. Yes. Experience means the lessons that we have learned. Yes, sir. Yes, anybody else, if you wish to contribute something, I would say please share your experience of experience, right? Your opinion on what experience actually is. Let me check the chat box if there is any message here. Realization. Okay, fantastic, Shama ma'am. So Shama ma'am is directly correlating experience with realization. Yes, Shama ma'am. Because whenever there is experience, experience leads you to realization. Now, if you look in the learning vertical as well, thank you very much for bringing it to my notice, Shama ma'am. It is something that I have learned from you now. Now that you said it, all of a sudden it clicked me that all of these things, they lead us one from other. From culture will lead us to nature will automatically lead us to experience, and if we are experienced, we can be experienced only if we are, if we realize things. So slowly we realize things and we gain experience, and there comes a time when when we focus more on the realization itself. So realization is a state that is a bit higher than experience, of course, but like Shama madam has very correctly responded that experience is something which is very close to realization, or when we realize things. Okay, Amita Kumari ma'am has, okay, thank you so much. There are so many. Vijay Koyal sir has written level of maturity. Yes, Vijay sir, thank you so much for your response. That is very correct. The level of maturity, because if we are experienced, then we are more mature. Thank you so much for your for your responses. I will appreciate even more if you will please unmute yourself and respond. Rose Jose ma'am has written which we went through, felt and realized. Okay, fantastic, Rose Jose ma'am. So by felt, maybe you mean to say something that we have realized at an emotional level. At emotional level, something that we have understood. So something that we have actually gone through, that is when we say that we have gone through that situation, then we have had that emotions wherein we understand that these are the emotions. Very correct. And realize this explanation of Rose Jose ma'am brings me to discuss an important point. For example, if I wish to tell this is an example which was quoted by our Honorable Shankaracharya, and it was the same example was quoted by the monks, the Buddhist monks also, who were discussing these Vipassana methods. So a very fantastic example. They say that in case if I wish to explain you, Abhijit, how sweet tastes, okay, However, if suppose you have never in your life tasted sweet, you don't know what sweet is. You have sour taste. You have tasted anything which is sour. You have tasted anything which is salty. You have tasted anything which is say hot or like that. But you have never in your life tasted sweet. And if I were to explain you what sweet is, how will I explain? I won't be able to, right? So I will have to go through it. I will have to actually feel it, and then that is something which will help me understand, experience, and realize, okay, this is sweet, right? So Rose ma'am has written it very nicely, yes. And then automatically there is a lesson learned, like Prithvi Raju sir said, ki only then there is a lesson learned. Nice, sir. So Rajesh Masade sir is writing skill to deal with the situation. Very correct, sir. So once I have experience of all of these things, I automatically develop the skill कि मुझे अगर तीखा लगता है तो मैंने मीठा खाना चाहिए, मुझे मीठा ज्यादा हो गया तो मैंने नमक डाल के कम करना चाहिए. So that is a skill that automatically comes. Okay. Amita Kumari madam is writing experience is what we get from our nature. Very correct. So for all of this, we need to go through it, and to go through it, we need to be with the nature. Very correct. All the tastes we have developed them from the nature. Then Prasad Kulkarni sir is writing experience means learning something which can't be taught by books or teacher or by any physical means. Very correct, Prasad sir. That is, there is a lot of depth in that. So I don't have an example immediately to explain that. But yes, that is correct. Nikhil Lal sir is writing practical knowledge. Very correct, Nikhil Lal sir. Like, you know, just now I said, we cannot explain how sweet tastes. It cannot be explained in books unless we have really tasted it. We will never know, right? So that is practical knowledge. It is something that we cannot gain from books or a teacher or by physical means, like Prasad Kulkarni sir has also mentioned. And now Vijay Goyal sir writes understanding and enjoying the small things that come in your way. Yes, very correct, Vijay Goyal sir. Thank you very much for being so interactive and participating. However, in today's session, now I would like to discuss, there is a very in-depth understanding of experience that almost all people who are participating here, they have. I would like to discuss something which is a kind of a hurdle. It is kind of a hurdle when it comes to experience. What are the actual hurdles that come our way? I would like to discuss that. So let's go back to our presentation, and let's understand, let's discuss experience. That's what experience really means. So which table is longer in this? When we look at the picture, and when we try to see, when we look at the picture and when we see the picture and we ask the question as to which table is longer, it is almost obvious for all of us to look at it and notice that the table which is on our left is longer, right? So the table which is on our left is longer is a very common observation that we have over here. However, to explain this in detail to you, I will have to share my, okay, I'll have to share a tab. Please be with me. So please be with me, okay? I am trying to share a tab here so that I'll be able to explain this in detail. So I hope that the screen is visible to you, wherein you can see the tables, both the tables. If somebody will please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so you can see these tables, both the tables, and in case if there was a question as to which table is longer, I suppose that anybody will answer that the table on the left is longer. So what we have done is, we are essentially talking here about the visual illusions that we have. Okay, and this is one of another famous experiment which is conducted by psychologists, most of the psychologists, and it was included by Professor Dan Ariely in one of his books named Predictably Irrational, and that is the reason it is a very famous book. So I would like to explain it over here as to what happens. You see, we feel that the table on the left is longer. However, the best part with visual illusions is that we can simply take a tape and measure them. Okay, so what I can do is I will just place this thing over here, right, as a tape, and I will try to measure them. Now, once we start measuring them, okay, what I have done is we have not altered the size of those what can I say, those lines, red lines is not altered, and they are moved from one table to another to help you understand that both these tables, they are actually of the same length. Now if you try to see, you see they are of the same length. Okay, you see they are not altered. Okay, the length is not altered at any place, and you can now see that they are of the same length. However, this is where the actual point is. What is the actual point? By now, you see, by now we can see that we can measure them and understand. I am not saying experience, I am saying we can measure them and understand that they are of the same length. However, once those lines are gone, it is as if our mind has not learned any lesson actually, right? It is still the same for us. It is as if our mind has not learned any lesson out of it, and the table on the left still seems longer to us, right? So this is to help us understand essentially as to, you know, our experiences are affected by so many things, including our visualization, right? And our visualization, we can say, is one of the most important things that we have as humans. A big part of our brain is dedicated to this, to ensure and to show, you know, whatever it is that we look around, most of our experience is through visualization. Our perceptions are through our visualization, and in our visualization, if there is so much of gap, just in visualization, if there is so much of gap, then imagine the gap that we will have while actually experiencing things, right? So this is what helped me understand an actual issue, you know. And what was the actual issue? I have stopped sharing the screen here now, and I would like to start presenting my uh, original presentation back again. Okay. So this is what helped me understand, you know, as to what happens with students. You see, most of the students, they want that they should perform well in the examination. They want that they should perform better in the examination. However, at the end of the day, what happens is, um, at the end of the day, what happens is they end up performing similar. For example, if a student is scoring, say, 60% marks in standard 7, then he will score around 60% marks in 8. In 9th also will score similar. In 10th, if he studies very hard, he is going to score somewhere around 65% or so. There is not a major change in their performance when it comes to scorings. And why is that? Though they wish to perform well, they want to perform well, they are ready to perform well. But what essentially has happened is, if I want to take up the examples that you have given, or the meaning of experience that you have given, like Prithviraj sir said, experience is what we have learned, and students, they have not really learned any lesson, right? From their previous examinations. Why are examinations conducted? Examinations are conducted to experience. You see, if suppose I read 10 chapters, and after reading 10 chapters, if I want to understand as to whether I have which chapters I know or I do not know, I am using the word understand. If I want to understand which chapters I know well and which chapters I do not know well, after studying, I can myself understand and tell these are the chapters that I know well and these are the chapters that I do not know well. But examinations are to experience and to challenge our belief. I repeat, examinations are to experience and to challenge our belief whether my understanding as to the fact that I know this and I do not know this is correct or incorrect, right? So examination is essentially an opportunity to challenge our belief, is what I would say, right? But however, what happens after examination? The students, they will appear for examination, they will score some particular marks, and then, you know, they will just get away with it, and they will, next time they will prepare for another examination. So actually speaking, the whole objective of these examinations is what can I say, is kind of compromised, is what I feel, you know. Now, when we talk about visual illusions here, I would also like to talk about, so essentially what I'm trying to say here is, our students, if because they are not experiencing what they are going through, because they are not realizing what they are going through, because they are not learning the lessons that they should learn after appearing for these exams, and because they don't understand the practicalities of life, that is the reason they are not progressing, and because they are not progressing, that is the reason there is this huge gap between the industry and the education sector. I do not see there are so many people who will blame the universities. There are so many people who will blame the colleges. I don't think that the colleges are to be blamed. I don't think that the universities are to be blamed. I think it is the behavior of people, including students, including their parents, including teachers, including the management of colleges, including the people from industry. All of their behavior needs to be, needs to be molded to certain degrees to ensure that we get the needed change in the time to come. And this will happen only and only through experience. If we will actually understand and experience what happens in our life. But like I said, one of the major challenges is visualization. So when the way we are looking at things by visualization, what I mean is the way I'm looking at things right now is not the way they actually are, and that is where the whole problem starts. I will give you another example as to how our mind behaves, and to understand this example. Now you see, this is an example of visual illusion, but then this is something that our mind decides only and only on the basis of visualization. For example, if two tables were kept in front of us and if we were asked which table is longer, in all probability we will just look at them and we will comment. We are not going to take a tape to measure and then we are going to comment. But now this experience has taught us that it is difficult. So it is always better to measure it first and maybe then conclude on to things. However, there is another thing, and that another thing which I would like to discuss here is, please be ready inside your mind, okay, and practice this. All of you are requested to, practice this at your end. Rather than using the word practice, I will say participate, and you will understand what I am trying to say. How will you pronounce YES? Just pronounce. I mean, no need to unmute also. You just do it at your end. How will you pronounce YES? Yes, right? YES is pronounced right? Yes. Now, in case if I add E before it, how will you pronounce it? Just add E before it and pronounce it. Most of the times the students, they respond ES, right? So YES is yes, and if we add before E before it, then it becomes ES. Now let us take an example what actually it is. Visualization. YES is yes, and when we add E before it, it becomes eyes. It becomes eyes. It is not ES, right? So essentially what had happened is, this is a funny experiment which I usually conduct with students. Only those people who actually participated will understand the difficulty. The funny thing which is happening is, we have not learned out of our experience as to when to visualize and when not to visualize, right? So how to learn or how to take experience there has to be a session on how to experience things, how to learn things, so that we learn really faster and we do not commit the same mistakes, right? Because you see, in this case, when we talk about, like I said in the earlier slide, when we talk about tables, we generally make a decision on the basis of visualization, which should not be made on the basis of visualization. Okay, we should actually take a tape and measure it. In the second example, we do not visualize because it is just a spelling. So we try to come up with an idea. Initially what happens is, when we write YES, automatically our brain thinks yes, YES is pronounced as yes, and then I say, okay, if we add before it, then ES. So our mind comes up with a pattern of yes and tries to add E before it, and then it says ES. Okay, but actual spelling is eyes. Okay, so this is something that we should have actually visualized, but we do not visualize spellings and things like that. So we need to learn these things from our experience. Not to what extent can experience teach us. If we go in the right direction, or if a teacher uses his experience in a real sense to teach students. So for that, I have this another video on YouTube which I would like to share. The video is about something else, but the meaning that I want to take out of it is something that I would like to explain here. So the question is, can you draw? Is your drawing good? Like, can you draw good cartoons and things like that? If all of you, if you'll please answer that. Answer to that, please. Can you draw a good drawing? Yes or no? The answer can be yes, the answer can be no. In most of the cases, I have seen that you cannot draw cartoons is a common reaction that people have. Oh my God. There are so many yes. Kumari ma'am is saying yes, Meenakshi ma'am is saying yes, oh my God. Okay, Prithvi Raju sir is saying no. Prithvi Raju sir, you are just like me. I must say I'm equally poor in drawing. But there are so many people who are
And I
actually.
have a companion.
I am also happy that I have a company, sir. So, Amita Kumari ma'am is writing, yes, she is also good in drawing. Okay, so there are so many people who are actually good in drawing. So I don't know. I chose this topic of drawing because most of the times this is a subject. Okay, Nilesh Kuchekar sir is writing so fantastic. So you see, this is a subject which is not a usual subject to most of the faculty members who will be participating here. I am not talking about engineering drawing or a subject like that. I am talking about drawing as in drawing cartoons. Okay, so I thought that this is a subject which will be very neutral to all of us, so that one cannot say if I would have said mathematics, then it would have been very different. Because for some people it would have been easy, for some people it would have been difficult. But then I came up, that is the reason I came up with drawing. So this is where I would like to share a video, and I would like to share a few things. When we talk about drawing and when we talk about not being able to draw, okay, essentially it is said that it is a belief versus reality. Like I spoke just now, experience is about challenging your beliefs, right? So there is this very famous person, Mr. Graham Shaw. I don't know much about him. I would like to, I would like to research now. But there was this video that I came across. So beliefs versus reality. Okay. So he says that if you think that you cannot draw such cartoons, what type of cartoons? This type of cartoons. So if you think that you cannot draw these type of cartoons, then it is mostly because of your belief. Okay. And the reality is something else. Once you know how to draw, it is really, really easy as to how to draw them. Okay. So he is ready to challenge his belief, challenge this belief of ours. And I will request all of you to be ready with pen and paper. In case if you are ready with pen and paper, then this will be a really, really, fun-filled exercise. You need to have a pen and paper, and you should have an open mind, and you should be prepared to have a go. Is what he says. This is entirely his experiment. So I have just repeated what he has said over here. So if you have a pen and paper, you have an open mind. If you are ready to challenge yourself and think whether I can draw this type of drawing or not, then let's take it as a challenge, and let's take it as an opportunity to challenge our beliefs also. So experience, I will repeat once again, experience is something that provides us an opportunity to challenge our belief and understand the reality. Okay. So let us challenge our belief and try to understand the reality. Prithviraj sir, you are also with me, so you can also give it a try. Now I would like to share the WhatsApp screen. I'm sorry, I would like to share the YouTube screen. Just a moment. Please stay tuned with me. I hope that you can now see the screen, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, now you see here, what he is doing is he is essentially telling us as to what can be drawn. So while he is telling us, he is saying that you draw the nose first, okay, and then you write 66 above it. Okay, you draw the nose first, then you write 66 above it, add a smile, then add ear, and this is how you will get to draw. Okay, so this type of cartoon is something that he says we can draw, and we will try to draw this type of cartoon. Okay, and then he will himself come up with a concept, and now he will teach us how to draw. Now let us take an example. Begin with the nose. Let's draw a nose like this first. Okay, so let's begin with drawing a nose. Let's draw a nose like this first, and then next step, we all know we are going to write 66 above it. Okay, so once that nose is drawn, we are going to write 66. On the edge of it there is 1 6. Just before that there is another 6, a little in the air above the line. Okay, so we have this 66. Now, once that is done, once you have written 66 above it, what we are going to do next is we are going to add a little smile to it below the nose. Okay. After that, an ear is what we are going to add. Okay. So just in the line of the nose on the back side, he has added an ear. Similarly, we can follow. And after that, he is going to draw some spikes. Okay. This is how he is going to draw some spikes. Once you have completed drawing the spikes, what you can do is from below the nose, you can draw a line like that. Now from below the ear, there is another line, another drop, I must say, like that. Yes, I know. Neck for the t-shirt. So you see, this is the drawing which he has made. Okay, this is the drawing that he has made, and he has made it look so simple. But the whole concept that we wish to share here is not about being able to draw. I hope that some of you, if you would have, if you are ready with pen and paper, and if you would have given it a try, you must have been able to, draw things. But then you see, the whole concept here is not about drawing the picture. The whole concept that I wish to discuss over here is, essentially what he has done is how he has made it simple. What has he done to ensure that it is simple? If anybody will be able to guess, anybody from here, if you will be able to guess, please. What has he done to ensure that drawing becomes simple?
He
See,
did
that
it
is what.
point by point, sir.
Yes, sir. Point by point. Very correct. Point by point. So essentially, what I would like to say here is what he has done is, in a way, is he has come up with a sequence. Point wise means he has come up with a sequence. He now the other drawings when he is going to draw, you can just visit that video and you can see, at a length you can understand as to what he talks about and what he is trying to communicate there. And he's trying to say the same thing, that once you know the sequence correctly, then it becomes very easy. So you may think that you have just learned to draw cartoon, but you haven't just learned to draw cartoon. What you have essentially learned is a sequence. So now you know the sequence. First you have to draw a nose, then you have to draw eyes, then you have to draw ear, then things like that, then smile, add smile to it, and ear, and things like that. So you know a sequence. Once you know the sequence, you can draw almost anything. So that is the whole concept that he has explained. I would like to share my screen back again and go back to the presentation. So this is how I would like to discuss as to what happens when we actually try to pour in experience, and this is where I think our students, they can improve themselves if we will try and help them understand. If there are less number of examinations, and I will talk more about it when we start discussing nature. If there are less number of examinations, if there is less load on the professors, if there is less load on the students as well, then things become easy, because then we will have enough time to self introspect, enough time to understand as to whether we have really understood the concept or not, and things like that. So we were discussing about experience, the learning vertical, and in the learning vertical we were discussing about experience. Now let's move on to another thing, and that is, let's discuss nature. Okay, this is my favorite, and I say that this is my favorite because I'm telling you, nature, learning from nature is the thing that has gone missing for most of the students. We are living in buildings, we don't get to observe a lot around us, and forget about learning from things. The places where we are studying and trying to score good marks, at that place also our students are not gaining much experience. So forget about learning from nature. That is a different concept altogether. So what I mean to say when I say about learning from nature is, if we start observing nature around us, by nature I mean nature includes almost everything. Nature includes me, it includes you, it includes animals, it includes trees, plants. But generally what we refer to as nature immediately is these plants and mountains and trees and waterfalls and rivers and lakes and sea and things like that. So I have included their example, and I have made an effort to connect nature to our students and our current environment and try to understand as to what is it that we can do to ensure a better environment. So the classification in similarity. Now you see there is a lot of classification here. By classification, I mean there are some plants that are indoor. Now indoor plants are never going to grow outdoor. If we will take them out, they're going to die. Right? Similarly, there is a lot of difference. In the outdoor plants also there are some plants, there are some some of them there are going to be bushes, and there are trees that are going to grow really high. Unfortunately, these days I have realized, and all of them they have their own importance, because without grass we cannot do. Grass holds a lot of soil. Without trees we cannot do without bushes. So all of them they hold equal importance in nature. Similarly, all the jobs and things like that, they hold equal importance in the society as well. But unfortunately, for the parents, or it is because of the overall scenario that has been created in the society these days, all of them, they want, like we discussed in our earlier session as well, they want their children to be a superhero. And because they want their children to be a superhero, that is the reason there is so much of pressure that is coming. And because there is so much of pressure that is coming, that is the reason we have seen that students, मतलब आप अगर घास को पेड़ बनाने जाएंगे और पेड़ की घास बनाने जाएंगे, तो उसका क्या होने वाला है? There is going to be satyanash. There is nothing else that is going to remain of it, right? Because if I will want the grass to grow like tree, then I think the whole concept of the whole concept of education has failed there, because we are not able to educate the parents themselves about how to manage their expectations. And there are so many players in the market, just like I do not wish to take anybody's name, just like these days there are advertisements that make your kid a coding expert and things like that. I'm not saying no, of course it is very easy to teach coding to the students. It is rather more relevant to teach coding to the students in the school itself, I agree with. But if you are coming up with an expectation that my son will start coding right away and he's going to become Bill Gates now, then that expectation is incorrect, is what I'm trying to say, right? So we need to see the classification in similarity, and we need to understand, yes, we are all human beings, we can become anything, but there is some basic substance that nature has given us, and that is what I should be doing. In that, whatever I can do and I can grow, that is fine. Now some of them they will grow in water also. Okay, so there is such variety that we cannot imagine. And I have seen as a behavioral trainer, I have seen a very similar variety in the students also. Amongst the students also there is very similar variety. The question is, how do we understand this similarity? How do we appreciate this similarity? And how do we deal with this classification in similarity? So I said similarity, I did not mean same. They are not same, they are similar, but there is a lot that needs to be, there is a lot of classification that goes in between. So there are few plants and there are few things which grow below water as well. So there is all types of variety that is available, and among students commune also I have seen all types of variety that is available. Okay, so we'll discuss this in detail now, because this is one of the this is one of the very interesting topics which I believe every person who has entered into the profession of teaching, right from the primary teacher to the college professors, they should be aware about. This is what I believe. There has to be some basic primary understanding of all of these things. So because we have discussed so many species of plants, outdoor, indoor, below, underwater, that grow underwater and things like that. So let us understand student species also. Now, there are many student species. One of the species called as the popular sanguine personality. Okay, the popular sanguine personality. Next is perfect melancholy personality. Third is powerful choleric personality, and fourth is peaceful phlegmatic personality. However, before we move ahead to discuss these student species, we should first understand the nature, okay, the nature and the surroundings in which these plants grow and things like that, and what is it that is essential in the surroundings, which is a very common requirement irrespective of whatever the species are. Okay, so irrespective of whether it is a plant that is going to grow inside indoor, or it is going to grow outdoor, or underwater, or wherever. Okay, so there are some very basic requirements which I would like to discuss in the surroundings. So when I started observing, at my home, I had this like I always loved the gardens and all. I did not have much time that I could dedicate to them, but then the gardener used to visit our home, and I always used to see him. You know what they do is, before we move on to this, okay, the soil. The soil is something uh, which is a very basic thing which is needed to ensure that the plant grows, right? That is where the seed is, that is where the seed comes into being. It takes a form of plant, right? So what is the soil? What is the actual job of the soil? The actual job of soil is that the soil builds the strength. So if the soil is good, then the plant will get enough strength. Okay. Now, what are the fundamental requirements of a soil that the soil should provide? The first thing that is necessary is that more porous soil provides an opportunity to grow deep roots. So, like I said, this gardener, he used to come, and inside the pot, whenever he used to work on a plant inside pot, he used to he used to come with his equipments, and he used to ensure that the soil around the plant, he just used to, what can I say, I don't have a word for this. My vocabulary falls short. I'm sorry for it. Bad vocabulary. But he used to, dig the soil around the plant. He used to dig the soil around the plant, and he used to leave it like that. So I always asked him, "Okay, why do you do like this?" So he said that if you want the roots to grow deep, we have to ensure that the soil around it is porous. Because if the soil is really thick, and if the soil is really thick, then the roots find it really difficult to grow inside. But if the soil is porous, then it is easy for the roots to to grow deep and to go inside really quickly. So that is one of the things that I have learned about our education system also. I think that the teachers are so much overburdened, and they are so packed because of a lot of clerical work, that it has practically become impossible for the teachers also, or for the professors also, to experiment really well on the students. On top of that, they have come up with so many activities for the students also. The current curriculum, or the accreditations, the what can I say, the basic requirements of these accreditations, they have forced us to come up with such curriculum for the students also, that they are so packed that there is almost no place for them to explore themselves, to self-introspect, or to look around. I hope that you will type in your comments in the chat box while I am discussing this, so that after I complete this slide, I would like to go back and read the chat box, see what is your opinion in this matter. In case if you differ, or in case if you disagree, please write that as well. Please write your opinion as well, because like I said, I would like to go, I would like to learn a lot from you people. So please type in your comments and share your experience also. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that it has, the direction that we have taken since such a long time has ensured that our soil is not porous anymore. So if the soil is not porous, then how can we expect that the roots will grow deep? And that is the reason we say that the students don't have any depth these days, right? Because there is no scope for them to grow. Right? Next is, deep roots ensure better growth and balance of plants. Now you see, if the plant wishes to grow in any direction, whether the plant wishes to go straight, whether it wishes to grow in the direction of the sun, or in whichever direction, at the end of the day, if the plant has to grow deep, then it is very, very important then it is very, very important that to grow, sorry, if the plant has to grow tall, then it is very, very important that it should have deep roots. Sometimes it may happen that around the plant there are big trees, because of which the plant is not getting even enough sun. So if the plant is not getting enough sun, then the plant has to, the plant has to, what can I say, the plant has to incline in the direction of the sun. Now, to incline itself into the direction of the sun, if its roots are not deep enough, then the plant cannot incline in the direction of the sun. So there are so many challenges, but to face any of these challenges, it is very, very important that the soil is porous. And by porous soil, what I mean is that the surroundings around us are such that they don't put a lot of pressure on the rather than saying a lot of pressure, I would say that they don't pack the schedule of our students such that they don't have enough time for themselves also. Okay. And that is the reason we see there are so many students around us who are not into the education system, and then we look at them and we say that he's not into the education system, but he's going to do wonders in the time to come. Why? Because he's very bold, because he has got this charm, and all of these these things he has got. Why? Because he was never burdened with the weight of books. He was never burdened with the weight of books. He's just living in the society. He has learned all the practical things, and that is how. I do not wish to say this, but that is how, in comparison to a mechanical engineer or in comparison to an automobile engineer who has just completed his engineering, in comparison to him, any of the mechanics can resolve. Any of the mechanics can. What can I say, can treat our bikes better, right? So next is all the minerals and nutrition comes from the soil. This is another very important thing that we need to realize, right? That whatever strength the plant gets, whatever minerals are needed, whatever nutrition is needed, all of it comes from the soil. Now I am doing a thorough research on the current education system, and when I say current education system, I do not mean colleges. I am studying the education system. In the education system, I am studying the schools. So when I study the schools, no offense to anyone, but these days the schools have really weird rules. I'm telling you, exceptionally weird rules that have almost no relevance to the actual behavioral pattern of students. I should not, I do not, like I said, I do not mean to discourage anyone, but then this is the truth that is being practiced. And after the fees that is being charged to the parents, I suppose that there are many people who are attending the session here. They must be parents, right? So the fees that is being charged to the students is huge in comparison to what is actually being offered, and I do not understand as to why the student should be burdened with so much of with so much of syllabus. I will give an excellent example. Uh, I have personally seen this, that the parents, the parents were, what can I say, were actually scolded by the school teachers. Why? Because after dropping their daughter in the school, they were looking at her, while she was walking while she was walking through the gate of the school towards the school building. They were watching their girl from outside the gate. So I don't understand. I mean, any which ways, I don't understand the relevance of it. But even if it is relevant, the whole point is that you can simply call parents, and you can, rather than scolding them, you can simply call them and you can tell them with respect, because I suppose that they deserve that respect, right? But this is something that was missing in the schools these days. The way parents are treated by the school teachers, by the staff. I'm sorry to say, but that is not appropriate. And I would like to go it on record. I would very much like to go it on record. So the parents, they also, they should also understand this as to where to admit their children. So what is this soil all about? And what is this environment we're talking about? Well, the soil is essentially the surroundings. For us people, like for plants, the soil is, what soil is for plants is surroundings for us. So if we have good surrounding, then surroundings are supposed to provide us the minerals and the nutrition. Surroundings are not to threaten us. Okay, that is something that we need to understand, especially the good surroundings like schools and colleges. Now next is the sun. Okay, now what is the sun? The sun is something in the direction of which the plant will always grow, right? Because sun is something that the plants need. Okay, now some of them, they may not need a lot of sun, that we will discuss, but generally the plants, they need basic sun, and they will always grow in the direction of the sun. Okay, so the sun influences the direction of growth. I wanted to explain each one of these pictures, but I suppose that there is a lot to explain and there is very little time left. So I will cover whatever possible. So the sun influences the direction of growth. However, before I move on to the next slide, I would like to go back and read the chat. And in the chat, okay, Amita Kumari ma'am. Okay, Amita Kumari ma'am has written yes for the earlier listing. I think Meenakshi Gautam ma'am has responded. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Meenakshi ma'am says, I agree with you that teachers are always burdened. Parents expect more from their children without considering the capacity. This is very true. This is very true. They have, I mean, we need to, there are few things wherein we need to put a limit. Anyways, so like I have requested, I will request again, please write your comments in the chat box while I am discussing this. Please share your opinion in the chat box. At times it may happen, like I said, this is a research that I am personally conducting, and this is a topic which is very close to my heart, and I can see the gap between the industry and the education sector widening because of this behavioral pattern, which is mostly been encouraged by the schools. So that is the reason I may be a bit harsh here. So you can always point a finger at me also. I won't mind. I'm myself a behavioral trainer, so I won't mind at all. So please do share your opinion, even if you wish to differ. So sun is something. What is sun? Sun for plants is all need the sun to live. See, everybody requires sun to live. There is almost nothing which will not require the sun to live. Almost everybody, I will say, needs the sun to live because their photosynthesis it cannot go on unless and until there is light, right? Not all have the strength to take the sun. See, everybody requires sun, but not everybody has the strength to take the sun. By this, what I mean to say is the sun here. I would like to read the sentences also. More sun can even take lives, and next is the whole world revolves around the sun. Now, what is sun? Sun is teachers, parents, and friends. Okay. So when we talk about surroundings, we mean the policies, we mean the procedures, we mean the schools that in which we have taken admission, we mean the organizations, the environment in those organizations. But when we are talking about the sun, we are talking about individual people and persons. So we are talking about teachers, we are talking about parents, we are talking about friends who are really, really close to the children, and that is from where partially parents are partially soil also. You see that these things they overlap, and that is from where things come. However, some are, why I say some are teachers, because they decide, they have the ability, they have the power to influence the direction in which the plant will go. I will give you an example. Students who are studying in some village, if one of their friends will visit, say, if one of their friends will go to Mumbai and he will start studying in Mumbai, then the other students will come to know, oh my God, Mumbai is a great place, we want to go there. Students who are studying in Mumbai, if their friends, they will go to USA or places like that, they would also want to go to US or places like that. Students who are, say studying in Nagpur, like a town of ours, and I'm sorry. And if one of their relatives is doing fantastic in Mumbai, he is earning a lot in Mumbai, and everybody is looking up to him, then I would want to become like him, and I would say, oh my God, one day I would want to work in a company like that, and I would like to become like him. Why? Because that path has been illumined. That path has been, the light has been thrown onto that path, and once the light has been thrown onto that path, I can see that you earn money in this, you earn respect in this path. Once you are on this path, there are so many people who respect you. Once you are on this path, there are so many people who want to be like you. So when I see that path, once light is thrown onto it, only then I can see the path. Okay, so these are the people who have the ability to decide the direction. Okay, and that is where we come into picture. That is the actual duty of teachers, I suppose. That is to light the path of the students in such a manner that they can actually see clearly in their future. And that is something which has been stopped. Why? Because we are teaching mathematics, physics, and while teaching that, we have to teach so many technical things that the actual job is, I don't know, the actual concept is lost somewhere else. Now we also need to understand that more sun can even take lives, and not all they have strength to take the sun. Not all the students will have the ability to take or grasp the knowledge that comes from teachers. They will have limited abilities. Some will require a lot of knowledge, they are outdoor plants. Some will require less knowledge, they are indoor plants. Some may not require knowledge, they will just require very little knowledge. They would like to stay underwater or something like that. And some of them that are above water, they will, they are okay with the sun, but they are okay with the sun only until and unless there is enough water, like lotus we had taken an example. So all of these things we need to understand. And why I have written this, more sun can even take lives, is because I have seen so many students that take admission into engineering colleges just because they were forced to, either by their parents or by so many colleges who are, driving people to take admission into engineering, or by so many, by the, what can we say, by the accepted norm in the societies, wherein if you are an engineer or if you are a doctor, only then you are successful in their life, like this accepted norm. So there are so many things, the burden of which forces students to take admissions into particular courses. But after that, I'm not talking only about engineering here, I'm talking about any of the courses. But after they take admission, what essentially happens is more sun can take lives. Now these days, students, when they are studying in their schools, their parents are expecting so much from them that in the schools itself the students are dying of studies, is what I feel. By dying, what I mean is not literally dying, but their interest is dying. They don't want to study anymore. There is so much of stress that they are opting for all the wrong things, all the bad things, the drugs and things like that are being practiced by students when they're in schools itself these days. Why? Because there is so much of stress. They are not doing it for just for fun. There is so much of stress that these things become, what can I say, these things become kind of a necessity after a while, so, and the whole world revolves around us. And why I've written that is because at the end of the day, whatever we are, once we gain the strength that is needed, whatever we become is our thoughts. And what do we want to become? We want to become what we see around us, right? Something which is successful around us, something which we presume is successful, something which we what can I say, something wherein I have an opinion that yes, this is something which is success. I want to become like that. So the whole world revolves around the sun. The whole world at the end of the day revolves around the teachings. I hope that you have typed in your responses also in the chat box, because I would like to go to them and I would like to read your feedback onto this as well. If there are any, if there is something which is incorrect, which you do not agree with, please mention that as well. If there is something that you did not like, mention that as well. If there is something that you have liked and to which you agree, please mention that as well, so that I will actually understand that you are with me. And now I would like to move on to the fertilizers. Now, what are the fertilizers? The fertilizers is something, this is what the fertilizers are. What is the job of fertilizers? The actual job of fertilizers is to ensure that we overcome weaknesses, right? So what are fertilizers provided for? The fertilizers are provided for कि भाई जो soil में से नहीं मिलता है, that is something I have included. Fertilizers are needed to overcome deficiencies. So suppose if in a student there is vitamin deficiency, there is this thing, so he takes those medicines. Similarly, fertilizers are needed to overcome deficiency. Natural fertilizers are good. Now something very, very important, please focus over here. Natural fertilizers are good. Okay, fertilizers injected for faster growth generally lessen the lives. I have seen that whenever these fertilizers are injected into the plants for faster growth, neither the quality of fruits, it diminishes, the quality of fruits diminishes, the nutrition that that plant is going to give, or the nutrition that we are going to get from that vegetable, that is also reduced, and the growth is faster. But what will happen? The life of that tree will automatically lessen. Urea and sulfate grown plants never provide the needed strength. I will tell you, these days there are so many people who are having this, especially in the teaching profession, they are having this problem of neck and back and things like that. And why do we have so much of problem? Earlier also people used to sit, but then they used to eat good food, they used to breathe fresh air. Of course, they used to physically also, they used to exert themselves a lot, but then the food was also equally good, right? But these days that is not the case. That is the reason earlier, in earlier days, if you could see, there were women and men who used to, what can I say, who used to, bend a lot from their waist, and still there was no actual pain. They used to bend because they were very, very old, so they used to bend from their waist down, and they used to walk with a stick in their hand. But then they did not actually suffer any pain as such, so when I talk about fertilizers and natural fertilizers are good, what I mean is, by natural fertilizers, I mean that the courses, the basic courses are good. Okay, but fertilizers injected for faster growth generally lessen the lives of the people. Now you see, this is where I come into picture, and this is where the courses which I take from my college, for my what can I say, on behalf of my organization I take, and any of the organizations which are conducting such courses, I'm telling you, in today's date they are bad for the students. What type of courses? I said that quantitative aptitude course, that technical aptitude course, that build, making projects for the students course, that whatever it is that I may be doing it, I may be earning a lot of money out of it, but I am agreeing to it and I am accepting it that these are bad for the students. But because the students are not getting it from the way they should get it from their natural system. What is the natural system? College is the natural system. Because the students are not getting it from the natural system, therefore it has become essential that we have to give fertilizers. But then natural fertilizers are good. Why natural fertilizers are good? Because natural fertilizers are slow, they are not absorbed, it is not kind of an injection, so it is not a 1 month course. For example, I conduct technical trainings for the students, the colleges, they will mostly sign. I request the colleges, I request but then in their curriculum it is, I'm not saying that they do not agree, they agree with whatever I'm saying. But at the end of the day, it is their curriculum that does not permit them, and therefore they cannot, they cannot take out more than 1 week. Either it is a workshop program for 7 days from morning 12 to evening 5, it is a workshop program, or otherwise it is, if it is not in the workshop mode, then maybe it is a 1 month program wherein we engage students for 2 to 3 hours thrice a week or something like that. So these are the injections that we are providing. So essentially what is happening is, they may understand, they may clear the examination of TCS, they may clear the examinations of companies, which is needed of course, because without that injection they are not going to clear the exam also, they will fail. But then it is an injection. So the last statement, urea and sulfate grown plants never really provide the needed strength. These students, they will go, they will join the industry, but after joining the industry, they will again, they will again have to improve themselves. There is a lot of pressure which they will have to take. They may not survive. They may, just change their companies once or twice. So there is a lot of attrition problem in the companies also. By attrition rate, what I mean is the rate at which the people are leaving the companies. So all of these things, they come into picture. Why? Because we are using unnatural fertilizers. So I hope until this I have made my point clear. And in case if there is anything that you would want to share, please do share now, because now we will once again move back to the student species that we had earlier discussed, and we will talk about, we have already discussed what are the different types of plants, what are the different plant species and things like. By plant species, I do not mean the actual technical biological definitions, the concept as to which we wanted to introduce. So there are different types of plants, so there are different types of students, and what are the different types of personalities that students have, and on the basis of that, what is it that we can do in our teaching pattern to ensure a better future for our students. That is something that we'll discuss now. Before I move on there, I would like to go back to the chat box, and I would like to understand if anybody has commented onto anything. Okay. So Amita Kumari ma'am is writing, today children have no much time for free thinking or to observe his surroundings. That is so correct, Amita ma'am. That is a very right observation. And Meenakshi ma'am is writing, because of stress, children are not enjoying the childhood also. Very correct, Meenakshi ma'am. And as teachers, I suppose it is our responsibility. Let us begin with let us begin by changing the regular trends. These days I have seen that almost all the parents, they are after their children so that they can admit their children in some hi-fi CBSE school and ensure they will pay for, my god, they will pay so much for it. I don't understand why a school, I have my friends, and the children, they are studying in just kindergarten also, and the fees that they are paying is 1 lakh rupees, 1,50,000 rupees. I don't understand. This is the fees that students are paying in engineering colleges, when there are so many labs and things all in place, right? Why the fees has to be so high, especially when the teachers are not paid so well? So maybe this is not a discussion that I can have on this forum, but then we can set up, as teachers, we can come up with this wonderful trend wherein we will ensure that our children will enjoy good childhood, and we set an example for the people that when the students, they enjoy more, they learn more. So I hope that as teachers you will all find a solution for it. And now we will discuss these species, the student species, the different types of personalities. So we come across so many students, some of them, they are interested in the classes, some of them, they are not interested in the classes. For all of the students, there are few teachers who are their favorite. For all of the teachers, there are few students who are their favorite. So let us begin with this interesting discussion on the student species. Now, the first very popular personality is, we call it the popular sanguine personality. Why? Because they are popular. They are generally popular in the classroom. They are the bubbly kind of people. We call them bubbly. Bubbly, why? Because they are, they just cannot rest themselves at one place. They are all the time, they are moving. all the time they are carrying the energy with them, they are the doers, they will just keep moving here and there. So these are the extrovert people. They are not afraid of talking to anyone, they are not afraid of talking to anyone for the first time or anything like that. They are not afraid of making new friends, they are not afraid of sharing, very important things in the very first meeting. So these are the extrovert people. They are the talker, they will talk a lot. Okay. And next are the next is that they are optimists. They are positive about anything and everything. They are positive. I'm telling you, they are positive about anything and everything in life. They don't take tension. They don't take much of tension at all. Generally, they will not take any. Generally, they won't be very serious about things. Okay, so this is the popular sanguine personality. And there is one more personality, that is a perfect melancholy personality. Okay, now what type of students are these? They are calm and quiet, the introvert people. Introvert, I hope you, all of you understand the meaning. Extrovert are the people who will go and talk to people on their own. Introvert लोग जो होते हैं वो खुलने में थोड़ा time लगाते हैं. Initially they won't be very friendly. It will take some time for them. Once they mix with you, once they know you really well, then they will slowly open up. But otherwise they are perfect melancholy personality. They are the thinkers. They will think a lot. So they will think a lot. They will act less. They will think a lot, but they will act less, and they are pessimists. By pessimists, I mean they think negative more. Okay, they think negative side more. They will think, they will overthink over issue, and they will see so many negative sides of it that they won't want to do it, because they will feel that in the first place there are so many negative things that are associated with this thing. Why should I do it? Okay, they are the perfect melancholy personality. Then there is powerful choleric personality. What is powerful choleric personality? The most important of all is they are the extroverts. Okay, again, they are not afraid of going out and talking to people. They are the doers. These are the students who, if they will take up anything in their hand, they will ensure that they will do it. They will just complete it. They will do it. Okay. The third is that they are optimists, which means they are, again, they also have a positive outlook. They will generally think positive about things. And then finally, we have peaceful phlegmatic personality. And this is a very basic description that I have given. We will, I will try and discuss them in a little depth later. Then we have peaceful phlegmatic personality. What is peaceful phlegmatic personality? Here we have, they are introvert. Fundamentally speaking, peaceful phlegmatic students are introvert. Okay. So peaceful phlegmatic personality is generally introvert. They are the watchers, which means that they will sit around and they will keep watching what is happening where and all, and they will keep a note of it. And then again, they are pessimists, because people who watch more or act less, or people who think more and act less, are usually pessimists. Usually, not always, but these are the four personality types into which we have divided. Now we would like to go ahead with the very first personality which we divided, which we had categorized, and that is the popular sanguine personality. We said that they are extrovert, they are talker, and they are optimists. Now, what kind of people are these? Try to understand. They have very high energy level. Okay. So I have seen identify popular sanguine personality, and I will request all of you to write whatever it is that comes to your mind, or maybe I will write the identification, and in the next slide I will request you to please participate. Okay. So how do we identify these students? They are the people who will volunteer for jobs. You come up with any new activity. You come up with any new activity without thinking, they will immediately start volunteering. Okay, fine, sir, I am in, I want to participate. This is a very good thing. I want to participate. So they will volunteer for jobs. Next is they will always think of new activities. Okay, a person of this type thinks of new activities. So they will always think of new activities. And they have energy, a lot of energy and enthusiasm. In the room, if you will see them in the classroom, they will always have this energy and enthusiasm. It is typically not possible for them to sit quiet and calm and without any restlessness. There is so much of energy and enthusiasm. And they start in a flashy way. Their start is always very flashy. Okay, so there are some students who will be very energetic once something new starts. They are these people. Next is they inspire others to join. They will always encourage others to join. They will talk to others and they will say, "Arey yaar, I am doing this. This is a very good thing. Why don't you do it?" and things like that. Okay, so these are the basics that are the basics to identify the popular sanguine personality. I hope that you are recording all of these things for your reference, because now we know that we have identified popular sanguine personality. We will also talk about how to deal with them. But then before we move ahead to that, what is the sum for popular sanguine? By sum, what I mean is we have included, before this we have included how to identify them. Okay, now once we know that these are the traits, or these are the things that popular sanguine personality has, and I haven't listed their weaknesses knowingly. Why I haven't listed their weaknesses is because I wanted the teachers to do some self introspection and to look back at their students and identify their students into one of these types and maybe identify their weaknesses as well. So that is a game that we'll play now. So identify popular sanguine. Once you have identified him, what is the sun for popular sanguine? We have previously discussed what sun means. Sun is all the people around us who have the ability to influence the direction in which we will go. So what do you think? What can be sun for popular sanguine? Now I will keep this slide in front and I will request all of you to please type. You can type your response in the chat box as to how can we ensure that these students they will grow in the direction we want. What can we do to ensure that they grow in the direction which we want? Please, one by one, if you please list. Rose Jose ma'am has also mentioned that even though if the soil, sun, fertilizers are arranged properly, the performance from the plant are not up to the expectations. Stress, anxiety rules them the most. Depression, inferiority, superiority complex. Very correct, Rose ma'am. But then that is partially because there is some problem in the soil. There is some problem in the soil. Appreciate the quality of student and encourage. Yes, fantastic, Meenakshi ma'am. Very correct. Yes. Yes. So we are discussing as to how to, how to encourage these popular sanguine people so that they perform better in the class. By sun for popular sanguine, we mean to ask how can we ensure that they perform better in the class? What can we do for them? And we will do this for all the 4 personalities, and then we will check as to. Okay, I am waiting for other people to respond in the chat box, please. If you will please help us understand what can we do on our part. Okay, fantastic. Likhil Lal sir is also writing, appreciating the students. Thank you very much, Likhil Lal sir, for your response. Balbir Chand sir is writing, encourage the potential of students. Yes, very good, Balbir sir. Thank you so much. Others, I will request to please participate. Okay. I am waiting for a few more responses so that I can move on to the next slide. This is something that we will do for all the 4 types. Okay, complimenting on their work. Yes, Rosman, thank you so much for that response. That is very correct because they love compliments. They have high energy level and they want to be popular. They are already popular, but they want to be popular. They enjoy being popular. So when we compliment them, they automatically enjoy even more. Nikhil Lal sir is writing motivating, right? Nikhil Lal sir, that is very correct. Motivating, but how is the question? If you can come up with some specific answers, give positive feedback. Yes, Nilesh Puchekar sir, very correct. If we give positive feedback to them, they are very, very interested. They are very much interested. If you will just say them, oh wow, well done, this is very good, etc., etc., again they will be even more excited and ready to participate even more. That is very correct. So you people, you are already being professors. You have that ability to very easily understand. So these are the sun for popular sanguine. I have listed few things from that book, Personality Plus, and they thrive on compliments. Okay. See, whatever this. Division in 4 types of personalities and all, they may overlap. Okay, it is not that every student will fall only in one personality type. You may always have different personality types in you, and there will be students who will have a lot of different personality types in him also. But then most of which is all type of energetic approaches on in front of students. Yes, that is correct. And Nalaya sir has written motivating, that is also correct. Like I discussed, let's be more specific as to how to do that. Okay, so they thrive on compliments, so that is one thing that we can do. We can compliment them more often, so they are very happy. They love people, so if we are going to come up with any of the activities for them, we need to ensure that it is a people activity. Wherever people are involved, wherever there is some interaction that is involved, wherever when they are doing something, people around them, they can watch them and actually see them doing it. They make friends easily. So any of the activities which will not stop them from being friendly, they will prevent dull moments. So if we give them any of the dull moments, then that is not very good for them. Automatically they will start to they will start avoiding us if whatever we are giving is dull to them. They like spontaneous activities, right? So they will always like these spontaneous activities, something new. If you can come up with at that very time, they will love it a lot. And then finally, This is where sun from popular sanguine ends, and then we move on to perfect melancholy personality. We have already discussed perfect melancholy personality are the introvert people. Then they are the thinkers. They think a lot, and because they think a lot, that is the reason any person who thinks a lot and acts very less is a person who becomes pessimist. So they are basically pessimists. And then let us identify perfect melancholy personality. They are orderly and organized. Very important. Huh? They are very orderly and organized. Okay, they will be organized. You won't see their things lying here and there. They are schedule oriented. They will always have a schedule. Okay, and they will always be schedule oriented. Third is they will be persistent and thorough. They don't like to not to have a schedule. Like I began this session today. So at the beginning of the session, if I'm not going to share what are all the things that we are going to discuss, these are the things that we are going to discuss, these are the notes that you will get at the end of the session, and this is what you will learn once the session ends. So unless and until they know all these things in proper order, they are not very convinced about the things. So they are persistent also and they are thorough also. They will always, because see, this is the reason God has, God has gifted us with such positives and negatives. What can I say? So whenever, because they can see the problem, that is one of the reasons they are actually pessimists, because they have this special ability, or what can I say, they have this special gift that they can see the problem, they can very easily identify the problem. So in any of the activities they can very easily identify as to where the problem is, and they also have the ability to find out creative solutions. Okay, they will always find out some or the other creative solutions. So this is something very, very important, which I suppose that in case if you just wish to take a note of. So perfect melancholy people are orderly and organized, they are schedule oriented, they are persistent and thorough, they will have this special gift that they can always identify the problem and they can find creative solutions. Now the question is, what is sun for perfect melancholy people? So again, we need to identify what are all the things that we can do to ensure that we can encourage this type of personality. So if you please list now, what can we do for this orderly and organized people? I have knowingly kept this slide, and if by observing this slide, if you can just write in the chat window, by observing this slide, if you can just write in the chat window as to what are all the things that are important for the perfect melancholy personality, or what can we do as a teacher, as a professor, to ensure that they do really well or they improve their performance in the college. So if you will please write it in the chat box, I would like to read your response. Okay, Rose Jose ma'am has written, invite them for the discussion. Okay, planning can be interested with them. Okay, fair enough. See, Rose ma'am, they are good at planning, but they don't like to plan for others. They do not have that leadership personality. They love to plan for themselves. They are themselves very organized, but they don't want to do it for others. They don't want to be in the limelight. Such students should be involved in some responsible activity. Okay, you may involve them, that is fine. See, this is where the actual challenge is. You see, in every class, there will be some students who will not participate. And most of the time, I have seen with experienced professors like you, it will be different. But generally, like when I was very new in this profession, I remember that I did not like students who never participated. I used to motivate them a lot. I used to encourage them a lot. I used to come up with very fun, very new activities every day. And I wanted that these students, they should participate. It took some time for me to understand as a behavioral trainer that some students have this personality wherein, because they analyze a lot, because they think a lot, that is the reason they may not want to participate, because they do not enjoy participating a lot. They enjoy observing more. So they will learn through observing others. Okay. So there are few students to whom we have to just let go of them. And there are other ways of, what can I say, of encashing onto how to deal with them. I will write, provide them with objective oriented schedule or task. Okay, fine. So let us list what is sun for identifying perfect. Now that we have identified perfect melancholy personality, what is sun for them? They will always make friends very cautiously. So make it a point that you take out some time for them and you don't talk to them in front of everyone. So generally, as professors, we can interact with students only in the classroom. Mostly, we get time to interact with students in the classroom. But even after classroom, we can interact with them for a while, and we can just share. We can just request them, or we can encourage them to share their thoughts in person. In person, they are more comfortable, and they make friends very cautiously. Once they will understand that you are one of those who can be trusted, then they will automatically be friendly with you, and then that is how we understand what is in their head, and then we can guide them more appropriately. They are content to stay in the background. Like I said, they don't want to come forward. So no matter how hard we are going to try, because they don't like to be in the limelight, and it is very good thing that there are few people in this world who are left who do not want to be in the limelight, because almost every second person wishes to be Amitabh Bachchan. So if everybody is going to strive in that direction, then the world will become a very difficult place, right? So there are always different types of people who are created in the society, and they are content to stay in the background. So let's not force them. And just because they are staying in the background does not mean that they are not good, does not mean that they are not interested, does not mean that they don't appreciate us. Okay. Next is they avoid causing attention. They will never want any type of attention. That is the reason I said that, because if we will give them some type of responsibility, or if we will provide them with some type of position, or if we will provide them with some type of task like planning or anything like that, then they may feel that that will bring attention. So they will always try to avoid attention. They have this in their personality, but they have the ability to solve other people's problem. Okay, so once they are friends with other people, they will always help them solve their problems, because they have that special ability. They understand the problem statement also, and they can come up with creative solutions also, and they have a deep concern for other people. They may be shy, they may be sitting quiet, they may be introverts, but they have a deep concern for other people, and they will always seek ideal mate. By ideal mate, I mean they will always seek an ideal person, someone who fits in really well with what they want, is something that they look forward to. So what we can do is, whenever other students they have problem, without attracting any attention to them, what we can do is we can ensure that these people are still in the background, and they are helping other people solve their problem. And slowly, automatically, they will understand that they have to, from background, they have to move to the front to ensure that they get the credit of what they are doing. Because once they understand that being in the background does not help you get a lot of credit, and because of that, other people are getting a lot of fame, then automatically they may change themselves to a certain extent. Now let us understand what is powerful choleric personality. Powerful choleric personality are the extroverts, but they are the doers. See, these are the students. They will do. If they will take up anything, they will do it. So I respect them a lot. And then they are optimists. Okay, I respect them a lot. I want to be like them. Not in all respects. In all respects, it is not possible also. But in the doer kind. Okay, and they are optimists also. Let us understand how to identify them. How do we identify them? The first and the most important thing is that they are goal oriented. They will always have a goal, a very specific and clear goal. So you see, there are many students. Some of them, they are confused about what to do. Some of them, they think that they have a goal, but their goal is not really defined. So these are the students who are goal oriented. Their goal is usually defined. Then these are the people who see the whole picture. By whole picture, like some students, when I ask them, what is your goal? So they will simply say, I want this job and things like that. These students are not like that. They will know why they have this goal. They will know that because if I get this job, then I will have this much money, and I need it for so and so reason and things like that. So they will see the whole picture. And what happens if I don't get that? That also they know. That is the reason they are the doers, because they understand if I don't do it now, then they understand the consequences very well. So they see the whole picture. Next is they organize themselves well. They are also well organized, not as well as perfect melancholy, but then they have the ability to organize things well. They will always seek practical solutions. They are not theoretical at all. They will always seek practical solutions, and they will move quickly to action without wasting time. They are so fast on moving to action that and then finally they will stimulate activity. By stimulate activity, what I mean to say is, they have this ability, because they take action. So at any given in events, in college events and things like that, they have the ability to become a leader, and they have the ability to to start the activity and to ensure that everybody gets to work. Now that the slide is before you, will you how to identify powerful choleric personality? Will you please let me understand what is sun for powerful choleric personality? That is, what can teachers do to ensure that such type of personality is encouraged? What can teachers do? to ensure that such type of personality is encouraged. If you please write your response in the chat box. This is a very fun-filled exercise. Please do participate. We get to learn a lot. I may get to learn a few things that you would mention. So I'm waiting for your response in the chat box. If you'll please type in the chat box. Okay. Likhilal sir is writing to give more opportunity. Very correct, sir. So this is what needs to be done if we provide them with more opportunities. Okay. Slowly it gets, as we get to the depth of it, it gets interesting. But anyways, I will go move on now. So what is the sun for powerful choleric personality? They have little need for friends because they are very practical and they are very action oriented. So because they are the doer kind, so they don't depend on anyone. They will do things on their own. They don't need a lot of friends to do their work. Does not mean that they don't have a lot of friends. They will always have friends, but then they don't find it necessary. For example, there are two types of students. Most of the students, they will sit with their friends to fill in the university exam form. But there are others who have the ability, they will sit and they will fill their form on their own, and there will be other students who will take their help as to how to fill in the form. These are those. So these are powerful choleric people. Will work for group activity. They will always work in group activity. And why they will work in group activity, I will tell you. Will lead and organize. They love to lead and they love to organize things. So if things are not organized around them, they will love that opportunity to organize the things and they will love to lead it. So that is the reason they like to work in group. Why? Because if they are in group, then they get to become a leader. Next is they are usually right. Now, by that I don't mean that they are actually usually right, but then inside their mind, if you check their mind, they are so convinced about their ideas, they are so convinced about their logic that it is not to be questioned. Okay, if we will question that logic, if we will question that, then in all probability things may go wrong. Okay, and then finally they will excel in emergencies. These are the students we need to depend on whenever there are emergencies. For example, we are conducting some event in the college or anything like that, and if there is any emergency, then these are the students on whom we can depend. They can actually come up with some really creative solutions. Now the fourth and the final type, that is peaceful, phlegmatic personality. They are the introverts, they are the watcher, and they are the pessimists. Like I said, the watcher, because they watch more, they act less, that is the reason they are pessimists. So identify peaceful, phlegmatic personality. How do we identify them? They are competent and they are steady. Okay, they are competent, they have the potential, they can compete very easily, and they are steady, calm and quiet, they are organized. Next is they are peaceful and agreeable. Okay, so these are the students who may have the potential, who may be in a position to very easily prove their potential, but then they may not participate a lot, or they may participate but not very actively, but they will always perform well. So they are competent and they are steady, they are peaceful and they are agreeable. They will usually agree to the ideas of others as well. They won't take, they are not one of those who will fight a lot in a debate. Now they are they are some people who have the ability to do administrative work. Okay, so if there is any type of administrative work, then that is something that can be given to them. They also have the ability to mediate problems. So if teachers, if you wish that you need someone who has the ability to to connect you to the rest of the students, because a teacher or a professor may not always have that much time to connect with each individual student. So if you wish somebody to be your representative, these are the right people. You know why? Because they have the ability to be peaceful, because they are peaceful, so other students get along with them very easily. They can communicate their problem very easily, and they are very like generally peaceful, phlegmatic people have this ability this administrative ability. That is the reason they can mediate the problems also very easily. They will always avoid the conflict. They have this special ability. They know how to avoid the conflict. So they will always avoid the conflict, and they generally work good under pressure. Okay. So this is another very important one that we need to understand, that peaceful, phlegmatic people will work better under pressure. If you will not, there has to be some pressure onto them, because if there is no pressure, then they are going to sleep at home. Okay. They are not going to work very hard, and they will always find the easy way. Now for this, because we are running out of time, so I will not ask you to type in anything into the chat box, but if there is anything that is already typed in, I would like to go back and just check once. Okay, there is no feedback here, so we will move on to What is sun for peaceful phlegmatic personality? Sun for peaceful phlegmatic personality is pleasant and enjoyable. Anything which is pleasant and enjoyable is good for them. Anything that is inoffensive, inoffensive as in anything which is not pointing a finger either at them or at even at somebody else. So something which is not pointing a finger at either at them or at anybody else is something that they are okay with. Next is they are good listeners. So we always need to have them improved because most of the time these days students they wish to be good speakers, but we also need good listeners, and they have many friends because they are peaceful, because they get along well with people. So and they have compassion and concern. They will always show their concern. Does not mean that they will always help you out, but yes, they have that compassion and concern, and they are not in rush. They are always these calm and quiet people who are working, with at ease and things like that. That is the reason there has to be some pressure so that they perform well. This is the sun for peaceful phlegmatic personality. Sun for popular sanguine thrives on all these things. This is something that we have already discussed. Popular sanguine is the first personality type, the energetic type. Okay, but what is it? They thrive on compliments. They love people. They make friends easily. They do not like dull moments. They like spontaneous activities. Now let us understand as to how to get along well with popular sanguine. How do we get along well with them? Recognize their difficulty in accomplishing tasks. Now this is where I have tried to include the weaknesses as well, and this is very important. I hope that you will make a note of it. Always recognize that it is difficult for them to accomplish tasks. They are the people who will volunteer for jobs very easily, but they are the people from whom you cannot expect. They may come to class tomorrow, they may not come to class tomorrow. They may tell you that yes, sir, I am very much interested in this activity. I want to participate a lot, which they may at that very moment does not mean that we can depend on them for the next day. Okay. Next day, if you'll ask them, they must have altogether forgotten about the whole concept itself. Okay. So they are like that. So recognize their difficulty in accomplishing tasks. Realize they talk without thinking first. So these are the people, the very moment you will present activity, they will be, yes, yes, sir, I want to participate. So they are talking, they want to participate, but they are not thinking. So they don't know what is their actual schedule, whether this activity fits in their schedule or not, or anything like that. So this is something that as a professor, as a teacher, we have to realize, and we have to control ourselves. Next is realize they like variety and flexibility. So if the activity that we are going to come up with, if it is monotonous or anything like that, then they won't be interested. Help them to keep from accepting more than they can do. This is one area wherein we can help them. How to help students? Don't tell them that you won't be able to do it, because popular sanguine don't like to be told that you cannot do it. Okay, so first let them take the responsibility, but because we are aware that they are popular sanguine, so always come up with a good backup. And then what happens is, if they don't show up, if they are not able to complete the tasks that they take up, then we can always, once in a while, sit with them, help them identify that why they were not able to complete the work. And in more than 90% of the cases, popular sanguine people are not able to complete the work. Why? Because they were busy doing something else. So they have n number of other things in their hand. So from next time onwards, you shouldn't do something like that. You should think once before accepting anything more that you are doing. So this is the way of teaching popular sanguine. Don't expect them to remember appointments or be on time. This is something that popular sanguine are really bad at. Next is praise them for everything they accomplish. So anything and everything that they're going to accomplish, make sure that you praise them a lot for that. Remember, they are circumstantial people. So the very moment circumstances they change, their behavior will also change. Bring them presents. They like new toys. This is something that explains us as to how to get along with popular sanguine. Next is sun for perfect melancholy personality. We have already discussed what type of personality perfect melancholy people are. They make friends very cautiously. They are content to stay in the background. They don't wish to participate a lot. They will always avoid causing attention. Most of the people, they love attention, but these are the people, they will avoid attention. They can solve other people's problems very easily, and they have deep concerns for other people. So let us understand, and they will always seek ideal mate. Let us understand as to what is or how can we get along easily with perfect melancholy personality. We should know that they are very sensitive and they get hurt easily. So make sure that when we talk to perfect melancholy people, make sure, because most of the times it used to happen in my case when I was very new in this profession. I wanted these students to participate, and when they did not participate, I used to feel bad, and I used to say that why are you not participating? Do you not wish to do this and that in life and things like that? Because I was very new in the profession at that time. However, slowly I learned that these are very sensitive people and they get hurt very easily, so we shouldn't be talking to them like that. Next is realize they are programmed with a pessimistic attitude. They always have this negative attitude and they are programmed with that negative attitude. Third is we need to compliment them sincerely and lovingly. Whenever we are going to compliment them, with the popular sanguine, the compliments are very different. With the popular sanguine, the compliment should be something that makes them really popular, something that comes with a lot of energy and things like that. But when if you are complimenting a perfect melancholy person, make sure that your compliment is based on some reason, and you mention that reason, and you are very sincere, and you say it in a very lovingly tone. Then accept that they like it quiet sometimes. Sometimes they just don't like to be disturbed. Sometimes they just want to sit at a place and be with themselves. So respect that. Next is try to keep a reasonable schedule. Tell when, why, and where are you going. For example, whatever it is that we have planned. For example, if it is the session, then or at the beginning of the session, I would always like to tell as to what is the agenda today, what are all the things that we are going to discuss, and how these things will be beneficial to you in your future or in the examinations. So if you tell all of these things, then the perfect melancholy personality is automatically interested. Another thing which we can include in our thing is notes. Notes is something that these people are very much interested in. Why? Because they have that type of personality. Realize that neatness is necessary. So whatever it is that we are going to give to them, because they are organized well, so that is the reason neatness is important for them. Help them not to become slaves of the family, because these are the people who are really compassionate, and these are the people who are self-sacrificing also. Because they are self-sacrificing, that is the reason they should not become slaves of the family. That is another thing that they need to learn. What is the sun for powerful choleric personality? We have already discussed that they have very little need for friends. They have a very leadership attitude. They like to lead and organize things. They inside their head they are usually right, so there is no point in convincing them about whether they are wrong or right. And these are the people we can depend on when it comes to emergencies. Now, how to get along well with powerful choleric personality? Recognize that they are born leaders, provide them similar roles, insist on two-way communication. Make sure that with powerful choleric personality you help them understand that we understand that that things are right from your point of view in a certain way, but you make sure that you provide chance to other people also to speak and things like that. No, they don't mean to hurt. Always understand, because they are very practical in their approach, and that is how they talk. Whatever they talk is from their practical approach towards things, and therefore they do not have any they do not have any intention of hurting anybody's feelings. Don't push your luck. With choleric personality, this is the case. If they are saying no, then it means no. Don't try to push very hard and convert their no into yes. That is not something which will be appreciated a lot by them. Try to divide areas of responsibility always, because they are organized people and they are the doers. So it is always better that we divide the areas of responsibility, so that tomorrow there is no conflict. Realize they are not compassionate. They are not compassionate at all, and I know they are always right. Like I said, inside their head they are always right. They may or may not be right. They may be wrong also, but inside their head they are always right. Now, what is sun for peaceful phlegmatic personality? That is the final fourth type of personality we have already discussed. These are the peaceful people, calm and quiet people who don't like any offensive statements, who do not wish to get into any type of fights. They are good listeners. They have many friends. They always have this compassion and concern for others. So what will be how to get along with peaceful phlegmatic personality? Realize they need direct motivation. Always remember that these are the people who need direct motivation. Like I say that like steroid needs to be injected, similarly motivation needs to be injected into these people. Next is help them set goals and make rewards. It is a if the professors are able to do this, if we are able to help them set their goals and make rewards, then they are really good. They improve their performance a lot. Don't expect enthusiasm from them. You cannot expect enthusiasm, because for them becoming enthusiastic is like losing peace, and peace is something that they value a lot. So they will not be enthusiastic, but they will always be participating. Next is realize that putting things off in their form is their form of quiet control. So sometimes it may happen that they wish to control a particular thing. That is the reason what they have done is they have just closed that file. They are not looking at it. That does not mean that they do not care. That only means that this is their way of controlling things. Force them into making decisions. These are the people who are kind of laid back in their attitude, and because they are laid back in their attitude, that is the reason they do not take many decisions. So we have to force them a bit, and don't keep all the blame on them. These are the people who are really genuine, and they will take the blame. Whatever mistakes they have made, they will accept. But we need to understand, and we need to make them realize as well that they should not be blamed and for mistakes that they have not done, and they should not be taking the blames very easily also. Finally, encourage them to accept responsibilities, so that once they accept the responsibilities, automatically, they will be a little bit more enthusiastic and more participative. After this, I have a case study, but then I think we are already running out of time, so I don't think we will be able to discuss the case study. I'm sorry for that. And then I had this creative methods to encourage students. Maybe I have discussed them. What can be done is, it is on the basis of this case study actually that I had, but I will directly come to the conclusion. What can we do? There are some creative methods to encourage the students. One thing that we can do is we can write awesome looking appreciation letters for the students. Okay. And we can give this task to the students themselves. You must have witnessed this, that whenever there are college events or anything like that, they come up with a very good invitation card. So we can tell them to design their own cards, which are really really good looking and which are really creative. And we can write appreciation to some of our students from time to time. This is a method that has gone missing, and because of which I think that the students are becoming whatever they are today, because we are not appreciating them a lot, but they are being punished a lot, or their name is more famous when they are when they are misbehaving. So automatically they feel that whatever way fame comes, that is better. Next is we can write appreciation letters for the parents as well. Once in a while we can write appreciation letters for the parents, and we can tell them that the behavior of student, your son is really appreciated. It must have been a result of what you have contributed in his upbringing and things like that. So finally, once in a while, you can send a surprise pizza for the family. You can always, just to appreciate the performance of a particular student. And by performance of a particular student, I do not mean his performance in comparison to other students. I mean his performance in comparison to his own performance. So if he has performed better in comparison to what he has performed earlier, you can always send a surprise pizza for the family, and you can tell them that your son has performed or your daughter has performed really well, and that is the reason he or she is being appreciated, and we are sharing this pizza with you, so and so. So I think that the world will be a very different place altogether. So these are all the things that we can practice. And so let's join hands. As I usually say, I come up with this last slide always. Let's join hands and make this world a better place. That would be all from my side. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Once again, I thank the honorable management of this Ballarpur Institute of Technology, Mr. Sanjay Vasade sir. I would also like to extend my gratitude to honorable director of Ballarpur Institute of Technology, Dr. Rajnikant Mishra sir. And along with that, I would also like to extend my many thanks to the organizing members of this faculty development program. And finally, of course, I would like to thank to all the attendees for their patient listening. And in case if there is any feedback, of course, like I said, the feedback form for this session will be shared on the WhatsApp group shortly. And we will take 1 hour break from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. It is already 5 past 4. So we'll take 1 hour break from now, and we will resume the session at 5 p.m. wherein we will begin the valedictory function. Please do not miss the valedictory function at all. It is a humble request to all of you to share your experience of this. What can I say? To share your experience of this faculty development program during this session, and I will request all the members who have been very active on the chat in the chat box, like Rose Ozen ma'am, I have seen. Then we have seen Meenakshi Gautam ma'am and Amita Kumari ma'am. You have been very you have been very interactive in the